make sure to subscribe to his channel.
You keep it natural, stay in your bag like you wearing satchels. Hey, baby, you a godsend, just missing the sandals. But still, you ain't missing much. Put your hands on my back, just a different touch. Put your on my plate, I don't skip the lunch. I don't skip the brunch, not the dinner neither. And we hella close, not a centimeter. Getting in between this, so you two turned up. Never turn down though, when there's big energy, when I come around though. So, don't ever switch. Know you've been looking, won't find it like this. Know you've been looking for the head of them curves. I'm Jimmy Johnson with this. I'm Jimmy Johnson with this. That I attest, I'm like running it. Just cycle, I swim and I run. Whatever you need, I'll try out the line with it. Turn on the lights, take a flick. Just don't be running this shit. Hey, I can see you as my chick. Nah, I can see you as my. You keep it natural, stay in your bag like you wearing satchels. Hey, baby, you a godsend, just missing the sandals. But still, you ain't missing much. Put your hands on my back, just a different touch. Put your on my plate, I don't skip the lunch. I don't skip the brunch, not the dinner neither. And we hella close, not a centimeter. Getting in between this, so you two turned up. Looking like God, that's masterpiece. Make a say unlike masterpiece. You shouldn't even self after me. Don't nobody really want you bad as me.
BS3 Network is now on Roku TV.
But if you
Under
stay, baby,
BS3 TV.
on my
Download
every day,
BS3
any
Network.
day, every time, all the
Changing
time,
the
in my
way you
mind.
watch TV.
Summertime, dinner time. I just wanna see you cross the finish line. Feeling like Jimmy, I give you this Johnson. Know you like filming that content. All in your bank and I never pull out. I just like making deposits. Yeah, you keep it natural, stay in your bag like you wearing satchels. Hey, baby, you a godsend, just missing the sandals. But still, you ain't
You are
missing
now
much. Put your
tuned
hands on
to
my back, just a
BS3
different touch.
Network.
Put your on my plate, I don't skip the lunch. I don't skip the brunch, not the dinner neither. And we hella close, not a centimeter. Getting in between this, so you two turned up. Never turn down though, when there's big energy, when I come around though. So, don't ever switch. Know you've been looking, won't find it like this. Know you've been looking for the head of them curves. I'm Jimmy Johnson with this.
Information is power. Information is power.
You keep it natural, stay in your bag like you wearing satchels. Hey, baby, you a godsend, just missing the sandals. But still, you ain't missing much. Put your hands on my back, just a different touch. Put your on my plate, I don't skip the lunch. I don't skip the brunch, not the dinner neither. And we hella close, not a centimeter. Getting in between this, so you two turned up. Never turn down though, when there's big energy, when I come around though. So, don't ever switch. Know you've been looking, won't find it like this. Know you've been looking for the head of them curves. I'm Jimmy Johnson with this. I'm Jimmy Johnson with this. That I attest, I'm like running it. Just cycle, I swim and I run. Whatever you need, I'll try out the line with it. Turn on the lights, take a flick. Just don't be running this shit. Hey, I can see you as my chick. Nah, I can see you as my. You keep it natural, stay in your bag like you wearing satchels. Hey, baby, you a godsend, just missing the sandals. But still, you ain't missing much. Put your hands on my back, just a different touch. Put your on my plate, I don't skip the lunch. I don't skip the brunch, not the dinner neither. And we hella close, not a centimeter. Getting in between this, so you two turned up. Looking like God, that's masterpiece. Make a say unlike masterpiece. You shouldn't even self after me. Don't nobody really want you bad as me. If you walk away, that'd be sad to see. But if you click stay, baby, have a seat. On my every day, any day, every time, all the time, in my mind. Summertime, dinner time. I just wanna see you cross the finish line.
Information is power.
What's up? What's up, everybody? Peace and blessings to everybody out there in the chat room. Thank you for your patience. Thank you. I'm back live on my regular time on Sunday. Feels good. This will be a short stream, but to the point. Let me do something real quick. Everybody, if you can, if you have a cell phone, a iPhone, Droid phone, a tablet, whatever, you can hit the share button right on your phone of this video right now, or even on your desktop, and share it out to people. I'm going to say some things. As I always say, some stuff you're going to agree with, some stuff you may not agree with. That's okay. This isn't about trying to get people to think all alike, because black people are not monolithic. We don't all think alike. We all have different experiences, different views, political views, social views, based on how we grew up, social economic issues. However, but I hope that what I have to say today will have meaning and understanding. I'm going to break some things down because the Supreme Court ruling, or that joke of a court that we call a Supreme Court, they got some things wrong on this. And this was wrapped all around the Asian community, right? Where you had this breakdown of, you had Asian students saying that they weren't able to get in because of the affirmative action standing in their way. But then, of course, there were some Asian students or community that were in support of a reparation. It was a split. It was kind of split. A lot of them weren't. Some of them were. It was kind of a sprinkle of people out there at the Supreme Court over this past week who were for it. Many people feel, there are people in the black community that feel that affirmative action holds black people back. It puts a stigmatization on our degrees, our master's degrees, our PhDs, our BA degrees, and what have you. And I want to see what everyone in the chat room, if you feel the same way, that the affirmative action program has outlived its usefulness, and that it has stigmatized black people, because I must be honest here, Clarence Thomas has been emotionally, one of the reasons why he's been against affirmative action is because of what happened to him when he went to Holy Cross University, when he went to Harvard University. And we've been saying, what's wrong with this brother? What happened to this brother? I'm going to show you a video today that will blow you away. I think PBS Dateline Newsline had a special on Clarence Thomas, and something did happen to Clarence Thomas. Matter of fact, Clarence Thomas used to be a beret, an afro-wearing, leather jacket, Black Panther talking type guy. Believe it or not, it's true.
Tell the truth.
Clarence Thomas, one of the people that he looked up the most to was Malcolm X. Tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
Another person he looked up to dearly was Dr. Martin Luther King.
Tell the truth.
Now, you may say, now, Info, what the hell are you talking about? I'm telling you the truth. When he came from a Southern background, he felt that the affirmative action stigmatized his degree when he got his law degree from Harvard. He thought that he wasn't getting the jobs that he wanted. He felt in his mind they were trying to give him the jobs that they would typically give to black people. So this brother, something happened to him that scarred him, that caused him to change his political views. They said that he used to wear overalls at Howard. People would make fun of him. This man has been, I'm not making excuses for his raccoon behavior, but we have to examine and understand where the raccoon behavior comes from when this is a broken black man who has a lot of emotional scars in his upbringing in terms of what he experienced when he was at Holy Cross. Matter of fact, Clarence Thomas was thinking about dropping out of school because of what happened to him at Holy Cross. And he grew up, I think his family was Catholic. And so this man harbors a lot of resentment and anger, and he wants to do everything he wants to do any and everything that has nothing to do with blackness. He wants to run away from it. So he was the key on this. He was the key person on this Supreme, I don't even want to call it a Supreme Court, a joke of a court. Okay? I just got to tell you the truth. So in the ruling, as you see right here, in the ruling, folks, college and universities can no longer consider race in their admissions process after the United States Supreme Court ruled against affirmative action, as we all heard on the news this week, overturning decades of precedents that has benefited Black and Latino students. So as you can see, mainly the liberal or the Democratic side, Kagan, Sotomayor, and Jackson, they were pretty much the Democratic side. This is remember the sister here who got voted in to be the first black woman to be a Supreme Court justice. And a lot of people were saying, well, wait a minute, but she looks black, but who is she in the bed with at night? And I thought about this. I said, okay, she made a statement about what the conservative side of the court did that she didn't agree with, right? And we know the majority of these people on this bench were appointed by Donald Trump. That's right. So, and Chief Roberts, I think Clarence Thomas has the most seniority on this this joke court. It's not a Supreme Court, it's a joke court. Roberts is the one who really pushed the umbrella. Now, there were people that were saying that, well, maybe the way that they can get around this affirmative action ruling is that they can look at demographics in terms of where people live at. They can have you write an essay where they can say to you, tell us about your experiences and what have been some of the obstacles in your way. And that would give people the ability to say, well, as a black woman, as a black man, I experienced A, B, and C, right? Now, remember, affirmative action is not only something that was put into law to benefit going to school, because remember when black people wanted to go to see, this is the thing. On this picture here, let me put this picture up here. A lot of our millennials and our Z generation, they don't know this history. They've grown up in a different world where they're around people of different races, and they think that this is just the way life has always been. But the reality is that affirmative action program in the civil rights bill, which other groups have attached themselves to, whether it be the LGBTQ community, Latino community, Asian community, all different other communities have attached themselves to these things. You hear me? If y'all can hear me clearly, put a 7 in the chat room. If you're with me, put a 7 in the chat room. Appreciate everybody out there in the chat room, everyone that's supporting the program tonight. I appreciate you. Keep in mind, I will still be doing my special podcast series where I'll be uploading videos that will be short, and every now and then I may surprise you with a live podcast, right? So keep that in mind. Thank you. Oh, I got to tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
That's right. So let's go back to this. So as I was saying, everybody, you see that picture where you have, Latinos and Asians. This is not the world that this world was in. Black people in this country took the blunt of racism, the blunt of discrimination, the blunt of everything that was wrong about America before other groups got their asses over here. You see, we actually laid the foundation. We actually opened up the door. Thank you, everybody, for those 7s. I love it. That gets the algorithms moving in the YouTube world, right? Black people are the ones who laid the foundation. We opened the door that allowed these other immigrant groups to come into the country and benefit from it. And they forget. They act as if this shit has always been in place, as if we had nothing to do with it. Tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
They've been eating and holding on our coattails for years. I think it's ironic that you had an Asian guy who was a student who was the one that the Republicans wrapped their arms all around to push the issue of destroying the reparations program. Now, I'm going to say this. Is the reparations program perfect? No. Did it help black people at some stage in this world? Yes. Now, this is the misnomer that people get wrong about affirmative action. People, white people in particular, as they were hating on black people before all these other groups came over here, as Dr. Claude Anderson said, the civil rights movement and all these laws that other groups benefit from, these laws were meant and primarily on the books for black people. Affirmative action was designed for black people. Now, all of a sudden, they're telling us today, oh, we can't go by race anymore. But wait a minute. It was designed mainly for black people because black people and racism and slavery was America's original sin, which, by the way, you still haven't paid black folks the reparations that we deserve right now. Reparations was primarily designed to right wrong the ills of qualified black people who had the education, who had the skills, who had the confidence to go to any damn school in this country and knock it out the box, knock it out the damn box.
Tell the truth.
People had made a stereotype out of affirmative action as saying that it's a race quota in which you allow someone who is black, because that's who it was meant for. So I'm not talking this people of color crap. We ain't people of color, we're black folks. So I'm not getting into people of color because that's not who it was meant for. It was meant for black folks. I'm giving the history. Black people were the ones that were disenfranchised. It was black people who were put in separate schools but unequal schools, separate but unequal, which is why you had the board versus Brown in education, and you had my man, Thurgood Marshall, who broke those laws down because they found out that it was black kids that were being disenfranchised from not only not that they didn't have teachers, black teachers that loved them, but they weren't giving them equal books, equal resources. As my man Joe Madison calls it, it's about access to power, responsibility, and resources.
Tell the truth.
When this was happening, they weren't talking about Asian folks, Arab folks, Latino folks, people that are man, it's so many damn alphabets. I don't know what to keep up with. The LGBTQ community. They weren't talking about those folks because those folks weren't here. Now, gay people have always been in our country, but I'm talking about ethnic groups. These folks weren't here. They laid a foundation. We were here. We were the one taking the bullets. We were the one taking the dogs. Our ancestors were the ones taking the dogs and the hoses and all the brutality from the police battering ram and the police bully clubs. We were the ones, our ancestors were the ones that took the brunt of that. All these other groups didn't take any of that. Black people made it safe for all these other people to come over here and also get in on the benefits. And then they got a nerve to be disrespectful to black folks who paid away. It was black. I think we made a mistake. I'm sorry. I won't tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
I think black folks made the mistake in the civil rights movement. It was black folks of the civil rights movement who co-signed that immigration bill, which allowed all these folks to come over here, including our black brothers and sisters in the Caribbean and Africa. Oh, yeah. See, they come over here and they will often tell us, well, we came over here to get education and we're just better than you, right? They come over here, go to our institutions, whether it be HBCU schools or regular schools, and they don't even realize the only reason why they're able, even though they'll say, well, it's because of my hard work. Yeah, like black folks don't know anything about hard work in America. They're able to go to school over here because black people born here paved the way, made the road safe and the opportunity safe for even our African brothers and sisters in the Caribbean and in Africa to come over here and go to our institutions. And yet they never want to give us the credit due to that, okay? So this is to lay the foundation. Affirmative action originally had nothing to do with any of these other groups that have attached themselves to it. We were the ones disenfranchised. And when they created when they passed reparations, it was to remedy the ills of black people that were qualified to get into these schools like law schools, Brown versus Board of Education, who were qualified to go to school but would not be allowed to go to these schools because they were black. And so when they remedied that, they said, let's let black people go to these schools who are qualified. Reparations has nothing to do with unqualified black people. It has everything to do with qualified black candidates who often would not be allowed to get in only because their race and not their educational aptitude and ability. Now, that's the damn truth.
Tell the truth.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
That was the original goal. That was the original goal of affirmative action. Let's just keep it real right now. Do y'all hear what I'm saying? Hit a 7 in the chat room. I see we got Alicia, we got Yalpo, we got the real Aaron Collins in the house, Joy, Jill's Chocolate Boutiques in the house. I see you. We got the OK Lounges in here. We got Glow in here. Thank you for being here. I see you. Many of you, make sure you share. We got DOD who says, remember the college exam scandal from 4 years back when rich white people were paying for their dumb children to get into the college. Black people who deserved to get in could not. Facts, DOD. Facts.
Tell the truth.
Can you dig it? Yes, facts. How about they talk about that? You got these rich white folks in Hollywood trying to get their dumb kids into school because they couldn't get in and they were lying. Huh? What about that? And you know what's crazy about that whole situation? I don't think any of them, DOD, the family members or the kids, I don't think they did any time in any prison anywhere. I think they paid fines. What about that? But see, this is the thing that this is where the media, and this is why we on social media get it right and the mass media gets it wrong. People don't realize that white folks have had affirmative action way before the affirmative action program that was given to black folks by Richard Nixon. Uh-oh, you're saying what? What are you talking about, Nixon? I'm not a crook. I'm not a crook. No, Richard Nixon, for real. White folks have had reparations for years. It's called what? Entitlements. It's called legacy. George Bush Jr. was able to get into Yale and join the Skull and Bones because his father was president of the United States. Matter of fact, they said they said his grades were goofy and he had bad grades. The only reason why George Bush Jr. was able to get into Yale University because of his daddy, George Bush Sr., so he got in because of legacy. That's affirmative action. And the thing about the affirmative action that white society has, you don't have to even be qualified. All you have to be qualified for is who your daddy is. Ain't that something? They try to tell you because black people that have benefited from affirmative action that we got it because we're black, but we weren't qualified, when white folks have been given privilege and passing on degrees and legacy to their offspring who weren't even qualified mentally, just got it because of who their daddy was, because their daddy gave a boatload of money to Harvard or Yale or one of these sort of Ivy League institutions. That's right. That's right.
Tell the truth.
So nobody talks about that type of reparations. Or what about the military? When the Supreme Monkey Court, okay? When the Supreme Monkey Court came down with their rendering of this whole thing, they left out the legacy. So you're going to still have them white boys getting into these Ivy League schools just because of who they daddy and mama is. Huh? But they decided to say, let's not affect the legacy clauses. Oh, when it comes to the military, we're not going to make it fit the military ideology either. You know why? This is my theory. I've been thinking about this, folks. Tell me if I'm right about this. Tell me if I'm right about this. I think the reason why they don't want the military to go by getting rid of race, because they've been using race for many years in the military to make sure that they bring what? Black people into the military. I'm telling you, I've never seen as many recruiting officers and recruiting officers in the black community. In a black community, they're always heavily trying to recruit black people into the military. Why? Very simple. Because when they have a war, they can put our asses on the front line like they put many black men on the front lines in the Vietnam War, World War II, when they decide to let black men fight. So they feel like we are exposable people. Yeah, put their asses in the military so we can control them. Because the military is control. A lot of y'all black folks be on these YouTube shit about the military is a great opportunity. Yeah, it's a great opportunity if you get the GI Bill, which a lot of black folks didn't get. It's a great opportunity if you get the benefits are great if you can get those benefits. But when they bring black people in the military, it was mainly to use us as manual labor. When they brought black people in the military in World War II, put them as manual labor. They don't want to put a race on the military and get rid of it because a lot of their recruits and members of the military are black people. Oh, yeah.
Tell the truth.
Let me put this up here. Everybody, I need y'all to pay attention to everything I'm saying to you tonight, everything I'm putting up on the screen. This will be a comprehensive stream tonight. We have to break this down. Check this out. Affirmative action corrects some of the racist history. Affirmative action corrects some of our racist history, but there's more to do. 65% of African Americans were excluded from benefits when Social Security began in this country. And you say, and anybody out there,
Tell the truth.
any Negro out there, any black person out there saying that we don't deserve reparations, get your behind out of here, because 65% of African Americans were excluded from benefits like Social Security. That was another reparation for white folks. If we're really going to talk reparations tonight, then we got to talk reparations tonight. And what's the origins of it now? God damn it, let's be honest with ourselves here. Reparations was a set aside originally for white folks. They even gave reparations to the Europeans when they came over here. Didn't Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. tell us? What did he tell us? Let's put his picture up here. Didn't Dr. Martin Luther King tell us in a video on YouTube that when the Europeans came over here, they gave them set-asides, they gave them land grants, they gave them free land, they gave them a foot up, they tell black folks to pick our pants up by our bootstrap. And when white folks came over here, whether they were indigenous servants that were prisoners from England, and then when they worked off their time, they gave them money and let them go back or stay here. They gave the Europeans land. Matter of fact, they pulled the Europeans' bootstrap up for him. They tell black people to pull up our bootstrap, but they pulled up the bootstrap of all these other groups. Some more. This is very fundamental. Now, of the first 67,000 GI Bills and mortgages in New York and New Jersey, fewer than 100 were for non-white people. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
But there's more to do. The modern white household has 3 times as much wealth as the modern black household.
Tell the truth.
And 10 times as much as the medium Hispanic household.
Tell the truth.
Even with a college education, and you know, Tone Talks has talked about this on his show as well. Tone Talks has gone over this already. Even with a college education, the medium white person has 7.2 times the wealth. Okay, similarly, with similar educational background to a black person, and 3.9% times the wealth, similarly to educated Hispanic persons. Okay, tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
All right, this is about truth-telling. Okay, truth-telling. The bottom line is reparations is originally and still remains a white institution that's benefited white people. For example, when you look at affirmative action, who has benefited from affirmative action more than anybody? Well, let me tell you, it's very simple. The white woman. The white woman in America has benefited from affirmative action more than anyone. More than black women, more than Asian women, more than any women in this world. Okay? They benefited from it. Everybody makes affirmative action. They wrap it into this. It's a black situation. The reason why they've been wanting to get away with it, been wanting to get rid of it, is because they do not want the people that it was mainly intended for, which was black folks. They do not want us to gain the opportunity, because that's really what it was. It was supposed to be an equal opportunity. Now, as I had said earlier, and I kind of laughed, I had a little laugh sound effect about it. Believe it or not, it was not the Democrats who put this into reality. As you see Dr. Martin Luther King shaking hands with the pointy, goofy nose of the crook himself. We know him as Nixon.
Tell the truth.
Okay? It was Nixon who first introduced it, put it into order. Let me read this to you. Check this out. This is for those of you who may not be aware of this. Executive Order 114 and Executive Order 11478, signed by the United States President Richard M. Nixon on August 8th, 1969, prohibited discrimination in the competitive services of federal civil workforce on certain grounds. The order was later amended to cover additional protected classes. And who was the one that amended it? Here he is, LB himself. There goes Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Now, another thing I need to know is that you notice Dr. Martin Luther King is shaking hands with Nixon. For those of us that weren't around and don't understand this, even our black leaders that we look up to today, they had to negotiate and work out deals with these devils. They had to negotiate with these devils. I mean, Nixon was a devil. LB was a devil. I know he signed the 65 Voters' Right Act and said that we'll lose the South forever when he signed that. I get it. He stepped in as the president when Robert Kennedy got assassinated, right? But he's the one that came in and amended it. Okay, let's keep that in mind. The order was later amended to cover additional protected classes. In this case, yes, it was amended, but you also had LB who also added to it as well, as you see Dr. King with him there. So this is the history. So when they talk about this whole thing around affirmative action in the court, you notice that they didn't really spend time giving you a really good comprehensive breakdown of the history. And they damn sure are not going to tell you on mainstream media that affirmative action was really for white people. White people were the first benefactors of affirmative action that they created for themselves. But when one was created for black folks, everybody got a damn problem with it. Everybody's kung fu fighting. And you got Negroes like Clarence Thomas, who's ashamed to be black, ashamed of his upbringing, shame. He has so much shame that he harbored this shame. He walked up that damn ladder that benefited him. Everything, every job that Clarence Thomas got was based on them wanting to diverse their office by bringing in a qualified black lawyer. And Clarence Thomas resented that. Oh, I got a juicy video for you. He resented all of it. So much that he has harbored this feeling that now he's made it up the ladder. He's got his money. He's making money. He's living good. He's got some right-wing millionaire that's been paying for his vacations and trips. A guy who has a garden in his mansion called the Garden of Evil. A guy that collects. Check this out. Clarence Thomas hangs out with a man. Oh, this is going to be good today, damn it. Oh, this is going to be good. Clarence Thomas hangs out with a white guy who's a right-wing millionaire, billionaire or millionaire, a rich man who has a garden of evil in his house where he has this garden of all the most evilest men in the world. Hitler. This is a man that collects Nazi memorabilia. Okay. Yes. This is who Clarence Thomas is hanging out with, a man who collects this stuff, has an affinity to it, right? Oh, and then we know that, and I was going to do a damn podcast on this because I know a lot about this place. It's in Northern California, right across the bay from San Francisco. And then we find out that Clarence Thomas is hanging out in Bohemian Grove. Yes. Bohemian Grove. That's where they be doing that weird stuff. And they get themselves dressed up in Greek clothing and they start having a fire at night and they have this big old giant owl. You notice that who's the rapper? You got Drake. Watch out for these rappers. You got Drake. He be wearing that owl symbol. So they have that owl symbol, and then they be having like these enactments of sacrifices and all that. Oh, a lot of weird Illuminati type stuff. I know I'm talking conspiracy, but it's weird.
Tell the truth.
So this man has wrapped himself in that devilish cloth, okay? That devilish cloth, while at the same time, he's got his money. He gets his luxury trips around the world. He gets things paid for him. He's living high, as we say in the South, off the hog, okay? Doing well, got 2-car garage, 3-car garage, wearing good suits, making good money, right? He gets all the perks because he's a Supreme Court a judge, and that Supreme Court, ladies and gentlemen, is brought and paid for. A lot of those damn Supreme Court justices on that damn bench are being lobbied and getting special perks from these rich out here, and Clarence Thomas got everything he wants. Like in the movie Superfly. Nigga, what else do you want? You got a color TV, Negro. We living good. We got a house and car and white woman. I mean, what else you want, Negro?
Tell the truth.
I'm gonna tell the truth. If y'all hear what I'm saying, come on now. Hit those 7s in the chat room. Now, let's go over something. Because I got to shout out my man, Phil Scott. Phil went live on this podcast, talked about these issues too. I'm trying to just go a little bit different with it right now. He did a great job. Now, look at this. Half of United States adults disapprove of selective college considering race and ethnicity in admissions decisions, while a third approve. This is from April 2nd, 2023. Disapprove is on the purple side and the gold side is approved. Check this out. Black people approve of affirmative action at 29%. 47% don't approve of it. So we got black people who do approve of it, but don't approve of it at 29%. Hispanics don't approve of affirmative action at 39%. They're split at 39%. They approve. Okay. Asians, and it was an Asian man who contribute to it being taken away. Asians at 52% disapprove, but 37% do approve. White people at 57% say hell no. And 29% say yes. Now let's break it down by political parties. The Republicans and the Democrats are one and the same, y'all. That's why I don't be favoring either one. They're both full of crap. But the Republicans are against it at 74%. Only 14% of them believe in it. That don't surprise me. Democrats are against it at 29%, but 54% approve of it. But yet they give us no reparations. What a damn shame.
Tell the truth.
Okay, you see what I'm saying here?
Tell the truth.
Now, let me break some things down. And I'm going to say shout out to Phil, the Advice Show, because he had these statistics on his show. He brought up the website. There's a Harvard website, because this student said that he couldn't get into Harvard. You've got Asian students saying that they couldn't get into Harvard because of affirmative action, that they're not included. You've got Asian students saying that they can't get into the University of North Carolina. Let me break the numbers down for you. This is why it's all bullshit, and the media won't be honest with you like I'm going to be honest with you right now. This is the student class enrollment makeup by race. Hispanics are 11.1% at Harvard University. Black people make up 10.1%. So Hispanics are 1% above us. Asians, they're talking about they can't get into school at Harvard. Get the you-know-what out of here. Asians are at 22.9% acceptance rate into the school of Harvard. White people are at a high whopping number of 47.2% that are getting in to school. So white folks are having no problem getting in. Asians, come on now. Asians are complaining that the Asian man who brought this lawsuit is complaining when black people only get in under affirmative action at 10.1%. And remember, affirmative action is for those that are qualified, not unqualified. Don't get that twisted. So if Asians are getting in at 22.6% over black folks, or over any other minority group, black folks, Hispanics, at 22%, then I want to know, what the hell are they complaining about? Because if anybody needs to be complaining about something not right, it's black folks at 10.1%. And remember when I say this doesn't represent that these are black folks who are not qualified to get in. We're talking about black folks that are qualified to get in, but don't always get in. So if affirmative action is supposed to remedy the ills of race, then why would the number at Harvard University only be 10.1%? And if Asians are being hit hard in the higher educational system as it relates around we should get reparations around the affirmative action issue, then why are they getting in at 22.6% over all other minority groups? Okay, let's go over to, and I'm going to put this on the screen. Let's go over to the other part. Now, the Harvard and the UNC, University of North Carolina, they were the two schools that were a part of the lawsuit that part of this Supreme Court ruling. So this is bullshit. Let's look at the numbers. This is from UNC. This is their undergrad class that came in. Here's the numbers. American Indians and Alaska Natives are 1%. They should be the ones hollering the most. They're only getting in at 1%. We're talking about Native American people. Asians and Asian Americans at 22%, the same as it is at Harvard, the same it is at UNC, University of North Carolina. Black people only getting in at 10%, Hispanics at 10%, white people at an overwhelming whopping number of 65%. These are the numbers for UNC, University of North Carolina, which was one of the schools in the Supreme Court ruling. And then I read you the numbers of Harvard University. So you see right there, ladies and gentlemen, that's the bullshit. You see, they wanted to push this narrative that the Asians are somehow not getting into school, that they're being undermined, undervalued. No, if anybody's still being undervalued, it's us. Now, did you guys get when I just put a 7 in the chat room? If you got that part of the presentation, you saw those numbers that I put on the screen a minute ago, and you heard the numbers that I just talked about, right? Make sure you subscribe to the channel when you get ample time, ladies and gentlemen. Definitely subscribe.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
And tell the truth, baby.
Tell the truth.
Put those 7s in the chat room. If you're hearing what I'm saying, you're with me, you're with me, you're with me. Oh, hallelujah. All right. So I'm going to tell the truth on these YouTube streets. You see what I'm saying? That's about what it's about.
Tell the truth.
You got to tell the truth on these YouTube. Now, a lot of times, there don't be a lot of truth on the YouTube streets. A lot of times people be saying things out there behind, don't know what they're talking about, and what have you. Okay? Now, part of my premise in this video today, and I said, affirmative action is over. They'll probably determine if they can get people in based on their race and their education, based on zip code that you come from, high school that you come from, how you write your essays. Who knows? There's some opening to that. But I want to say this. Isn't it time for black people to do for ourselves and not wait around in a lie on waiting on seeing what the system's going to do for us? How about we do for ourselves? And a bigger question is, and I want all of you to vote in the chat room right now and make sure, wait a minute, let me put this in here. Hang on for a minute. Hit the likes. Thank you. Let me put that in there right now because I want people to hit the likes of this video today, and I appreciate you all in the chat room. Now, this is the vote, ladies and gentlemen. Do you think that this affirmative action ruling is going to increase the affirmative action ruling with this Supreme Clown Court? Do you think it's going to increase enrollment? Let black folks, let's do for self. How about this could be a great way to support our black colleges? Finally. Now, don't get me wrong. The black colleges, if they get an increase in enrollment because of this ruling by the Supreme Clown Court, I'm sorry. If you get an increase of students, y'all got to do better with the facilities, with how you manage this, the Pell Grant money, these historical black colleges are going to have to do better, because I did a video on this channel where you had problems with the dormitories and the mold at Bethune-Cookman, other colleges. If there's an increase in black people, if you believe there's going to be an increase in black people going to the HBCUs, put a 7. And if you think it could benefit them, I think it will benefit the HBCUs economically, because if black people can't get into these schools like Harvard and Yale and all these exclusive schools that don't accept the affirmative action programs. And let me be honest with you right now. I'm in California.
The truth.
They got you. Everybody talks about how liberal California is supposed to be. Bullshit. They got rid of the affirmative action program in California way before the Supreme Court even talked about this stuff, right? Check this out. At UC Berkeley, and I've been there many times. It's a beautiful campus. I've been there many, many, many times. Stanford as well. At UC Berkeley in California, Berkeley's a really cool place. They got a Malcolm X. They got a couple of schools in Berkeley that are named after Malcolm X. It's a very super liberal town, right? But in the most liberalist place on the damn earth, which is Berkeley, they don't accept what they call quotas, which I never liked that term. But they don't have the affirmative action program. You know why? Because of another black man, another raccoon, Ward Connolly, years ago. The white politicians, the white conservatives, used him to get rid of the affirmative action program in California, which he did. And then after he did what they needed him to do, and they gave him butter biscuits and really blew his ego up and made him think he was the man, guess what happened? After they got what they wanted out of Ward Connolly by getting rid of the affirmative action program in California, those of you who live in California, you probably remember what I'm talking about. What they do to Warren Connolly, they got rid of Warren Connolly. They got rid of him. It's called being a lap dog. When you have a dog on your lap and you pet him and you get tired of petting that lap dog, what do? You simply throw him off your lap. He was a token. He was a lap dog. They got what they wanted to use him for so that nobody could say, oh, this is racism coming from the white right wing. No, they used the black man to do their dirty work. And when he did it, they got rid of Ward Connolly. And then that law stayed in place. Guess what happened at Berkeley University, one of these universities, top universities in state of California, along with Stanford and many others? What'd they do? It hurt the admissions at Berkeley at 1/3 of the student body, meaning black and other races of people. It got cut in half. There was a decrease in black admissions and other people admissions, but black people were hit the hardest. Dark Titan, what's going on, Dark Titan? What's going on, Real Aaron Collins? Everybody in the chat room, speak to me now. Let me know you're with me. Put a 7 in the chat room. So black people got hit, and this is what happened. Because I know somebody's going to say, oh, that was black people that weren't qualified. No, even when you had qualified black people, they still stood a higher chance of not getting admitted. Because the reality is that black people in America, we don't control these universities. We don't run them. A lot of times black people are not on the decision-making boards when they're looking through applications. Now they're saying that, oh, we no longer want to use race to. Okay, if affirmative action being gone is going to make the playing field equal, then why has the admissions dropped for qualified individuals that happen to be black for this? I'm talking black now. That's who I am. That's the life I live. I'm not a people of color. Because we know that black folks have been impacted by this more than anybody. Because I just sat up here and told you that Asian people are getting in at Harvard University at 22.6%, black people at 10.1%, Hispanics at 11.1%. And at the University of North Carolina, Asians are getting in still again at 22%, white folks at 65%, black folks at 10%. So if this is supposed to equal the playing field and let people just be judged on their merits, then why has the enrollment of black people who are qualified, that's the key word here, why has the admissions to these universities gone down in California by one third? That's a damn shame.
Tell the truth.
Let's keep it real. So will that impact allow HBCUs? What do y'all think? Do you think the HBCUs will benefit and that it's a good thing? But if they benefit by black people going to their universities because they can't get into the others for all those bullshit reasons that I talked about, what is the obligation of the HBCU universities to make sure that they put these young black people in decent dormitories, that they give them decent facilities? Because I'm sorry, Deion Sanders was right when he talked about the mentality that the business model has to change in HBCUs, and the mentality has to change. What do they do? The HBCUs, with the money that they do get, have to use it wisely to present proper facilities when you're going to have an increase potentially of more black students. Those black students are going to demand more and better. And they should, because they're paying for it. These historical black colleges ain't cheap, by the way. So that's the question I'm asking everybody. What will black people do for themselves? As I lay that out to you, let me play this video for you of Clarence Thomas and let you see why Clarence Thomas is basically ashamed of himself and has some deep-seated psychological issues that stem way back. And after I play this short video, I will go and pull up your comments to get your comments and have a discussion with you through your comments about how you feel about this issue, good or bad, before we conclude today's program. So I hope that works for everybody. Let me see if there's something else that I was supposed to put up here. I want to make sure that I didn't miss any data or anything that you were supposed to see. So the question again is, will black colleges benefit? And is that where we really should be going? Should we really be sending our kids to historical black colleges and not these other schools? And if black qualified black people cannot get into those schools that they want to go to, will that increase the enrollment of HBCUs, historical black colleges? And if that does, the historical black colleges are going to have to up their game on how they take care of the campus and how they present themselves, the president, and the accountability that they have to the damn students. Because you had the students in Bethune-Cookman who protested because they were complaining about poor facilities. Of course, you're going to have the usual suspects here. You're going to have the National Action Network ran by slick skin, slick hair, pimp back hair. You know the man, Reverend Sharpton. I want to know what black people are going to do. Are black people just going to sit back and complain about the affirmative action program being taken out? Or are black people going to organize and say, what can we do to help ourselves? What should we be campaigning more for historical black colleges? Should we be pushing the black colleges to have better facilities? Are black people going to be willing to support financially the black colleges? Should we stop worrying about the fact that they got rid of affirmative action? Should we not look at Harvard? Why can't Howard University be our Harvard? Why can't Morehouse be our Yale? And Spelman, B-R-E-L. Why can't we make the historical black colleges what they're supposed to be, which is number one? Why don't we just do that? Now, check this out. And I thought about this. I guarantee you, listen to what I'm about to say before I play this Clarence Thomas video. I guarantee you, everybody, a lot of these white PWI institutions, they got football and basketball teams. They recruit black players on both football and basketball, which makes the most money for them. Believe me, they're not going to allow what the Supreme Court just ruled to keep them from getting those black players in those white universities, right? To make that money, go to those bowl games, and so on and so forth. They're not going to stop that. Because you would think, okay, then that should hit the scholarship situation with the athletes. No, they're going to make an exception for that because they're athletes and they want them to be playing football and basketball to generate money for the school, obviously. So it's interesting to see how that's going to play out as well. But once again, as a summary, I think personally, they did not exempt the military because they know the military is the biggest recruiter of black people. So they got no problem with us being in the military where they tell us what to do, what time to wake up, what time to sleep, what to wear, what not to wear, how to march, how to move, how to cut our hair, comb our hair, how to be all that we can be. And can tell us when they want to ship us off here, ship us off there, put us in some damn Sam Doom or some damn place like in Iraq or some Middle Eastern country where we can die for good old white America. They ain't got no problem with that. And they're not getting rid of those quotas for the white folks who get into schools because their daddy was an alumni who got money. They're going to quit. They're not talking about those quotas. Isn't it? Check the check. If you're going to say it's racially unfair to have race as part of admissions along with your qualifications, then how can you say that it's fair for someone to get into school who probably didn't even have the man who probably didn't have the fucking somebody who didn't have the somebody who didn't have the fucking
God damn. So you're
telling me that a person who don't have the grades, really, they're all right for them to get in over people who did have the grades because their daddy was a rich donor? That's the bullshit. Let's go right here, ladies and gentlemen. I thank you for listening to the program. If you're liking the program, make sure you hit the likes. I appreciate everybody in the chat room. We got Earl Owens. We got Jonathan Kidd in the house. Keith is in the house. Earl Owens. Beautiful Bernice. What's up,
y'all? What's up, y'all?
All right, y'all. I appreciate all of you. I'm going to give you a clap. Yeah. CMB Tech Talks. Devin Locker is in the house. Love your brother. Alicia TYMC Kitchen is in the house. Yeah. All right. Let's get to it. Here comes the video. Some things about this video that you're going to watch is going to blow you away about Clarence Thomas. Some of you in there may not have known this history about Clarence Thomas. This video is just going to give you a nice summary of what was on the Dateline PBS special. It was really interesting. That man definitely hated himself. Something happened to him. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
One such school was the College of the Holy Cross in Massachusetts, which is notable because that is the alma mater of Justice Clarence Thomas, whose decades-long project to destroy affirmative action culminated in a victory today. Now, Thomas did not write the court's majority opinion. That was written by Justice Roberts. But he did write a fiery 58-page concurrence denouncing race as a factor in admissions as policies that, and I quote him here, fly in the face of our colorblind Constitution and our nation's equality ideal. Clarence Thomas did not always think this way. In the late 1960s, when he was at Holy Cross, he was one of just a few dozen black students at that college. As Joel Anderson writes for Slate, quote, he got admitted thanks to his good grades and a recommendation from a nun, and maybe in part because the school was actively looking for black students. It was the 1960s. It was in the wake of the Watts riots. The school had not had many black students, and it went out looking for some. And once he got to Holy Cross, well, Thomas's politics there were downright radical.
He definitely was inspired by the Black Panthers. He dressed like them. He talked like them. He had a beret, he had army fatigues, and he had the army boots.
He wore an afro. He was out there with everyone else.
After completing his undergraduate degree, Thomas was accepted at a number of prestigious law schools, including Harvard, but he chose to attend Yale Law because he believed the campus's liberal politics best aligned with his own. Well, there, however, Thomas became disillusioned with his own status at that elite university. As the New York Times reported back in 1991, Thomas was accepted to Yale as part of the school's explicit affirmative action plan to admit more students of color. But he resented any suggestion that he received any special consideration because of his race. And once he graduated from Yale Law, Thomas blamed his initial inability to find work in the legal profession, not on the fact that many legal institutions and law firms in the 1970s were still redoubts of racism and white supremacy and had racist hiring practices and did not want to hire him, but rather on the belief that his degree had been tainted by the implication of affirmative action.
He had his Yale Law degree, and he had a 10-cent stamp stuck to it. You know, like a 10-cent price tag stuck to it. Because he's like, yeah, this is what it's worth, right? 10 cents, right? No more.
He came to blame affirmative action for the rejection he felt.
Now I knew what a law degree from Yale was worth when it bore the taint of racial preference. I was humiliated and desperate.
Eventually, Thomas found a job in the office of the conservative Missouri Attorney General John Danforth, who recently told the Slow Burn podcast that he hired Thomas in part because of his race.
My ambition was that the AG's office was...
Right here is very important for you all to listen to. These are people who hired Clarence Thomas, and Clarence Thomas resented being hired as he felt they were hiring him to do the black stuff. But the truth of the matter is, as Clarence Thomas would tell you, that he pulled himself up from his bootstraps. No. He lived in a time of the 60s and 70s when racism was at a high. At that time, we had the civil rights movement, and that's when you had this whole diversity movement starting. And these white men put him in positions because they wanted a black man who was not only qualified, but they wanted to meet that quota of a black person. And I'm sorry, Clarence Thomas, most of his jobs he got were quota jobs. They were meeting their race quota, even if he was qualified. And you're going to hear people, white people, admit this in this segment of this video. Let me put this back a little bit. I want y'all to listen to this. This is very, very important. Again, listen.
Eventually, Thomas found a job in the office of the conservative Missouri Attorney General John Danforth, who recently told the Slow Burn podcast that he hired Thomas in part because of his race.
My ambition was that the AG's office was to be the best law office in the state. Now, did I also think that it was important to have a diverse office? Yes, I did. And did I think that it would be wonderful to hire Clarence Thomas for that reason? Yes. But the most important reason was I had to get the job done.
From there, Thomas' star continued to rise in conservative legal circles, a rise that, according to his ex-girlfriend, was, again, predicated in part on affirmative action.
In 1982, the White House offered Thomas a big promotion, the chance to run his own federal agency. The trouble was, that agency was the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. This was exactly the kind of role Clarence Thomas didn't want, a position focused on race and discrimination.
He didn't want to be there. He was resentful that he had not been offered something that a white person would want.
Thomas was in a bind. He wanted to keep rising in the administration, but he didn't want to rise this way.
Let me say something right now, because you will be knocked out of my chat room. Check for those who check for you. You wrote fake news. Now, what news is fake? This is a fact. You know where they got this from? PBS did a news line story on Clarence Thomas. I think a 3 or 4 part story. They actually had black people who knew Clarence Thomas growing up that were in the segment that were being interviewed. They went and looked at his past. They went and talked to people who went to school with him. And Clarence Thomas was a very bitter guy at Holy Cross University, at Howard University, and what have. No, don't block him out of the chat room. Don't block him out. Make his ass explain that. If he can't explain it, then we knock his ass out. If he's a troll and he's out of here, then y'all did the right thing after all. Thank you. I just wanted to ask that person a question, because this MSNBC news report, as you all could see in the chat room, it took clips from the PBS special. How many of y'all seen the PBS special on Clarence Thomas on YouTube, or actually on your TV? You can hit a 7 if you have. I looked at some of it, and I learned why Clarence Thomas hates himself. He had a very difficult upbringing. He had a very difficult time in college. Remember, they said, and they showed the clips, one of his favorite people was Malcolm X. He was wearing combat boots. The guy that was on here said it, he went to school with him. Something happened to Clarence Thomas where he went from being what they would call a radical Black Panther thinking black man, Malcolm X following black man, to being this black man that follows and get perks from a rich white man who likes to collect devilish stuff in his collection like Nazi memorabilia. What happened to Clarence Thomas? We're actually seeing in this video, this small clip is basically showing you he rejected the idea of being given lawyer jobs that encompass dealing with race. He didn't want to do anything with race, and he resented it. And you have all these people saying that he got hired because he was qualified, but he was also black. Clarence Thomas' personal vendetta that he has with what his experience was is why he did what he did on the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court or judge is supposed to be subjective. That's my point, folks. Listen to me now. A judge or a legal counselor is supposed to be subjective. You're supposed to only go by the law. I'm here to tell you that Clarence Thomas did this on this court with the rest of them because he did it because it was a personal vendetta that he had going all the way back to his years at Holy Cross University and Harvard University and all the things he experienced, because they said it right there. He believed that his degree was tainted because of affirmative action. Not recognizing that he got into the school because he also had to have the grades. He also had to have the ability to excel there. Now, check this out. This is what people don't tell you. Okay, people will say affirmative action is a bad thing. People will tell you, oh, you got into this school, you got this job because of affirmative action. But check this out. When you take classes in college, I don't care if it's Harvard, Yale, Stanford, wherever it is, Dartmouth, I don't care. Howard University, whatever. When you take when you go to the class, nobody says that it's affirmative action when you got to read the books, that you get affirmative action examination, that you turn in an affirmative action essay. There might be affirmative action based on your race and your qualifications academically to get into the school. But when you go to that classroom, the teacher, the professor is not giving you an affirmative action test. You're taking the same test that everybody else is taking. See, nobody ever talks about that when they make this argument. You're not given a affirmative action test. So if black people that have accelerated themselves through colleges, these white colleges, if they weren't qualified to be at these schools and they only got in because of affirmative action, then how did they pass the examinations that the professors gave them, that they give to every other student? When you take that examination, that multiple choice examination, you gotta read the books like everybody else in the classroom. You don't get an affirmative action book. You gotta read from the same book as they read. You gotta study just like them. You gotta take the same examination that they took. You gotta give the same damn answers that they gave. So anybody that graduated, including old Clarence Raccoon Thomas, anybody that goes to any of these schools and they graduate, I don't look at it as an affirmative action degree because they took the same exam as everyone else. So how do you explain that? The teacher doesn't say, oh, let me give him a different exam. It's the same damn exam. That means you got to study just as hard as everybody else, read the same books, come up with the same answers. When the professor says, I want you to write me an essay on A, B, and C, you're not writing an affirmative action paper. You got to study and get your research and get your footnotes and get your data and write a damn essay like everybody else. Let's go back to this with Clarence Thomas. He just don't like himself, man.
And predicated in part on affirmative action.
In 1982, the White House offered Thomas a big promotion, the chance to run his own federal agency. The trouble was, that agency was the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. This was exactly the kind of role Clarence Thomas didn't want, a position focused on race and discrimination.
He didn't want to be there. He was resentful that he had not been offered something that a white person would want.
Thomas was in a bind. He wanted to keep rising in the administration, but he didn't want to rise this way.
He didn't want anyone to think that he had gotten a job because he was black. Of course, every job he had ever gotten was because he was black.
Tell the truth.
Did you hear that white woman who laid up with Clarence Thomas, was in a relationship with Clarence Thomas? Did you hear how she laughed? Did you hear how she laughed and said that every job that Clarence Thomas got, as she kind of giggled, was because he was black? Clarence Thomas would make you think that he pulled himself up from his bootstraps. I'm not saying he didn't go to school and take exams like everyone else, like I just said a few minutes ago. I'm not questioning his ability because he obviously had the ability. But after he got out of school, every job he got was around the fact that he was black, and he resented it so much that when he became a Supreme Court justice, it was always his personal vendetta to gut the affirmative action program. I'm going to say again, what are black people going to do for self? Are we going to make the historical black colleges better, demand better facilities, demand of the historical black colleges that they're going to have to do better, especially if there's going to be an influx of black students who would have ordinarily gone to these other schools? They're going to be demanding quality. And I'm not saying that the historical black colleges don't have quality, but I'm talking about facilities, dormitories, because we know that there's been problems in that area with the historical black colleges. So right now, what I want to do is
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
let's go ahead and read your comments in the chat room before I end stream. I'm going to read your comments and read them and hear what you got to say. Keith West says this: Clarence Thomas never had any respect for those folks, regardless of how educated he was in their system. I agree with you. Oh my God, we got Catherine with Friends. What's going on, my sister? She says, hello, everybody. Make sure y'all check out her channel. Subscribe to Catherine with Friends, y'all. Please, please do so if you can. We got Empress Goddess here in the house. Thank you for being here. Good to see you. Jill's is saying, say what? Yeah, say what? That was a woman that he was involved with, and you see how she was giggling and laughing? That's who he was laying in the bed with. That's who he was laying in the bed with, Jill's Chocolate Boutique. We got my man Yalpo who says, that's right, Clarence don't go after the people who put the system in place. He goes after the people who benefit from this. Right. Let's see some more comments here. We got Brother Rob in the house from Chicago, Chi-Town. Good to see you here. Thank you for coming out. Let's see. Catherine with Friends says this: Information Man, I feel what this country is working on, taking rights from blacks because they are working on putting black folks. What are they looking? I can't see the other part of your message because I think my fun is too big, and that's probably why I can't see the rest of the message. Let me see here. Let's go down to my man, and we got my man Jonathan Kidd in the house too. What's up to you? We got Brother Locker in the house saying he wanted the keys to the country club. Yeah, that's why he accepts all that money from that rich white dude that's been paying for all his vacations. And then that dude's got that dude is a collector of all type of Nazi memorabilia. And he's got this it's really weird who Clarence Thomas likes to hang out with. And who would have thought that Clarence Thomas used to be a follower of Malcolm X, and he was rebel rousing he was black. He was doing his Black Panther thing. Who would have thought that how did Clarence Thomas go from being a fan of Malcolm X in a beret hat, leather jacket, combat boot wearing? You heard the dude on there who went to school with him. How did he go from that? Y'all got to check out that PBS Dateline special. It's on YouTube about Clarence Thomas. How did he go from that to being this raccoonish person? Somebody's got to, I need answers. How do you go from that to that? It's weird. Thomas says this: my friend is Greek, Ethiopian, and he's in the army. He actually a captain. He's 32 years old. Okay. Yalpo says, sure, Thomas is welcome at the country club. Then after he finishes bussing the ladies, yeah. Oh, yeah. Remember when he got the confirmation of him becoming a Supreme Court judge, that he was brought up, that they were saying that Anita Hill was saying that he sexually harassed her. And there were actually more women that were going to come out, and they never let them come and testify. And then let's keep it real. For those of y'all that love Joe Biden is the reason why Clarence, here we go. Wait a minute now. I'm feeling this. I'm feeling it now. Joe Biden sat up there. I'm cooking with grease right now. Listen to me. Joe Biden sat up there and gave a press conference about what the Supreme Court did that was wrong as it relates to affirmative action. But it was Joe Biden during the Anita Hill hearings when Clarence Thomas was being reviewed to be a Supreme Court justice, and she came out and said that he sexually harassed her. It was Joe Sleepy Biden, Joe Jim Crow Biden, who had the final vote. Joe Biden could have eliminated Clarence Thomas from becoming a Supreme Court justice. And now Clarence Thomas is the head Negro in charge of the Supreme. He's the head Negro in charge. Clarence Thomas has the most seniority on this Supreme Court, which makes him the head you-know-what in charge.
Tell the truth.
Clarence Thomas wouldn't be on this court to put forth these goofy rulings. Certainly, he's not the only vote on the Supreme Court, but he is a vote. And it was Joe Biden as a Democrat or Democrat who could have eliminated him off of that court. He didn't respect Anita Hill. And this is why I don't understand why black women were so supportive of Joe Biden and begging him to put Kamala Harris as vice president. And black women have forgotten, or at least the ones that were supporting Joe Biden. Did y'all forget that Joe Biden is the one that turned his back on Anita Hill when she said that Clarence Thomas did things to her, and there were other women that were waiting to be called to testify about their experiences with freaky deaky Clarence Thomas? And they never got called because people like Sleepy Joe Biden voted in favor to put Clarence Thomas on that court and turned his back on Anita Hill. And he's sitting up here telling y'all when he ran for president in 2020, y'all not black. If you don't vote for me, he got up there with Charlemagne the Goofy and said, if y'all don't vote for me, y'all ain't black. My, how it runs full circle. I just put 2 and 2 together for y'all right there. Clarence Thomas is on this court, and he's the head you-know-what in charge of this court because Joe Biden gave the final vote that put him over the top to be nominated. And now we look all these decades later, and we get these goofy rulings from Clarence Thomas, or a contributing ruling. And then Biden wants to sit up there and give us a sad story about how we're going to find other ways around this. Dude, you contribute to you contribute to that conservative court member being on this conservative court when you could have stopped them. I think a lot of black folks have forgotten about this. It's not only the crime bill that he signed that put black men in jail, which was horrible, but we have forgotten that he contributed to this Clarence Thomas nonsense. Hit the 7 if I've re-sparked your thoughts about this. My God. What's going on, George Frazier? Hey, pretty lady, Alicia. Yeah, she is beautiful, beautiful young lady. Let me see here. Is Brown Bella, let me see. Is Brown Bella girl in here? Brown girl Bella is in the house. Peace to you. Let me see. She says, again, I'm watching, sorry to say, the world loves slavery back. So now they're starting with the sorry ass. Right. Okay, so everybody's with me. I got my man Jonathan Kidd that's with me. Yeah. And I got let me see. Check for those who check for Hey, check for those, check for me. You gotta explain why you said in the chat room why you thought that I was, that it was fake news. Nothing that I put up, nothing about that clip was fake news because they did an exclusive interview with the people that went to school, and you had you just heard you had white folks laughing about how they hired him because come on now. We talking truth over here, not bullshit.
Tell the truth.
So thank you for your support today. But remember, on this channel, I don't come with no BS. Another CG, thank you for being here. Brown Bella girl says, hey, beautiful Catherine with friends indeed. And when they do, I have my passport ready. Oh, she's ready. Yeah, I got a passport ready to get on out of here too. Tree Breeze is in the house. And let me go over here. Let me see what you got to say now. Check for those who check for you. I wasn't trolling, brother. I don't do that. Okay. Then much respect. I was just wondering because I saw you put fake news, and I thought that was in reference to the video clip that I showed about Clarence Thomas. But if I was wrong, my apologies. You're not a troll. Welcome to the family. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for coming over. All right. Earl Owen said this. Blue book at ready. Let me see. Let me read some more. I want to read some statements. Yeah, just a misunderstanding. Yeah, just a misunderstanding. So thank you for that's why that was the reason why I didn't want anybody to do anything to him yet, because I just wanted to get it clarified because I might have been reading it wrong. It could have been related to something else. So that's why I asked that question. But it's all good. It's all good. It's all good, you know. Let's see. Check for you, those who check for you. I said that because sometimes the media always have a cover up. I was not saying that you put out fake information, not at all. Okay. It's all good. We can move on from that. Thank you for clarifying that. We got Ricky 12 in the house. He says affirmative action programs not beneficially Black Americans since 1980. I think that there have been some I think initially when they introduced the affirmative action program, I think it did benefit Black people. We're talking about Black people back in the 60s and 70s. We're talking about the civil rights years. I think it benefited that generation the most. We're talking about when the country was heavily segregated and all these different things like that. I'm talking about in the early beginning, I think it benefited those group of Black people who wanted to go to universities that they were not allowed to go to. Today, we are able to go to universities. They can't not allow us to go. But if we don't have the grades to get into these schools, then we won't be able to get in, right? But what happened back in the day, it didn't matter if you had the grades to get into these schools. Soon as they found out that you were Black, you were finished. Why you think we got historical Black colleges in the first place? Even though we know that there were slave masters who put money into building some of these historical Black schools. Let's keep it real. But for the most part, the historical Black colleges were really built for Black people that weren't able to go to the regular PWI schools. So obviously today we have more opportunity than our ancestors ever could dream of. So no, I don't have that. I don't twist that around at all. I get it. Let's see. You don't see Brother Owen's comment? It should be in there. Where's his comment at? Let me see. Yeah, peace to Brother DOD. He made a really good point today in the broadcast. We got my man Quincy in the house. What's going on, brother? Putting a 7 in there. DOD, Alicia, Just Chocolate Boutique. Make sure y'all subscribe to each other's channel. DOD has a channel. Alicia has a channel. Jill's Chocolate Boutique has a channel. Brown Girl Bella has a channel. Everybody who Empress Goddess has a channel. Make sure y'all subscribe to these channels. We got Catherine with Friends has a channel. Make sure you subscribe to these channels. You might like what they're doing over there. You might really like what these folks are doing. You don't know what you're missing out on. My man Yalpo has a channel. Make sure you subscribe to him too. Let me see what Empress Goddess is saying. She says, just like I just found out that I was the Jews who started Hollywood. Yeah. They because remember, one reason why is because Jewish people, when they got here, like every group, they were only allowed to do certain things. Entertainment was an area that they dominated in because they weren't allowed to do other things in society at that time, with all the Hitler stuff that was going on. But they figured out that they could make a lot of money off of black people singing and dancing. So when they started moving towards entertainment, they realized, hey, we can make a lot of money off these Negroes. Oh, yeah. Black folks are tap dancing, they're singing the blues, they're singing jazz, they're boxing, they're playing sports. How can we get some of this money off these black folks? I know. Let's become their agents. Let's become their managers. Let's be the guys that book their fights, book their let me own a theater where I can book them at my theater. They figured out ways to make money off of our talents. Let's just keep it real. But this is the thing I have to say to you. Everybody's figured out a way to make money off of black people's talents, but black people. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I got to laugh to keep from crying. Really hear what I'm saying. Everybody has figured out a way to make money off of our talents, but us. I'm not talking about the little crumbs that they give you. This is why. We get all excited over the contract that LeBron James gets, or a football player gets, or a basketball player gets. Think about it like this. If a basketball player is making a $100,000 contract, what the hell is the owner getting paid? If they're making thousands of dollars, if they're making $100 million, no, let me correct this. If the athlete is making a $100 million contract, then that means the owner is making $1 billion. So this is what I mean. Other groups of people have figured out how to make money off of us. So those groups of people will say, I can't play basketball. I like basketball. I can't make money as a professional basketball player, but I could certainly make money off of these Negroes. I'll be their manager. I'll be their coach. I'm going to figure out a way to buy a franchise or baseball or football team. Now they play for me. Or I'll go to school and become a lawyer, and now I'll be their representative in their negotiations, and I'll get 10 to 20% of their contract. Once again, everybody knows how to make money off of black people, but black people. Everybody knows how to make money off of us, but us.
Tell the truth.
Yalpo says this, I don't get excited about it. It's not going into my pocket. And soon as they make that money, we know who they're probably going to marry. Yeah, we know that. Let's see. Michael Jordan owned the Washington Wizards before he sold the team. Yeah, but who did he sell it to? Did he sell it? This is the thing. This is the thing, though, real Aaron Collins. Did Michael Jordan sell the Wizards? Which really is the Charlotte, I think it's the Charlotte team, brother, that he sold. He had part ownership in the Wizards, but he really owns the Charlotte team. Whoever he sells the team to or did sell the team to, did he sell it to another black man or black woman? Because this is what we call about group economics and keeping the dollar circling. These other ethnic groups, when they sell their businesses, they selling it to somebody that looks just like them, same culture, same religion, same language. Black people, we get something, we sell it, we ain't selling it to another black person. But those other groups do, Aaron. Hear what I'm saying to you, brother. I know you know I'm telling the truth.
Tell the truth.
Let me see. Brother Keith West is saying this. The owner makes way more and there isn't any black ownership in these leads. Fact. Facto demendo. Let me see. Stern, who was Hitler's teacher, Rudolf Stern, who was Hitler's teacher, put out some very interesting books. Then later, Hitler had his work destroyed after. This is interesting stuff. Interesting comments everybody's putting in the chat room. This is very interesting. The real Aaron Collins says that's a real good point, Info Man. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, think about it. Think about it. It's just very simple. Other groups, when they sell something, like they sell it to people that look just like them, sometimes people of the same ethnic group, the same religious background, whatever it may be, political. Black people, we're the only ones that will sell something back to the very people that didn't want to give us the opportunity in the first place. Ain't that something?
Tell the truth.
And I'm going to continue to say this again. Other people make more money off of us than we make off of us. That's another damn shame.
Tell the truth.
Think about it. Black people have been in every entertainment industry, the record industry. You an artist, you dancing and singing, and you getting ripped off like that movie 5 Heartbeats, where you had the Big Red Records. You had black people that were getting ripped off of their royalties, signed bad contracts, even had black people who own record companies that would rip you off too. We're rip you off. Now you got black folks who don't even own their own publishing. Do y'all know that the James Brown family doesn't own the publishing to their father and grandfather, James Brown's music, because it got sold off to a music auctioning house. So every time James Brown music is put on movies or what have you, they sold the rights to this company. I was going to do a video about this. Maybe I'll make it a podcast. Now James Brown ain't even owned by black folks. Everybody makes money off of us but us.
Tell the truth.
That's why I say, what are black people going to do if we can't get into some of these schools because they got rid of the affirmative action? And if our numbers dwindle down, do we do for self and start supporting our historical black colleges and make them work for us? And also, as enrollment increases in black historical colleges, which I think is going to happen, okay, HBCUs, then as the student body increases, do potentially, because of reparations, you know what? I got reparations on my brain. We should get reparations, but because of affirmative action being eliminated, then that would mean that if we're going to go to historical black colleges and increase the enrollment and make them better, we got to make them better by action, by A, support, and 2, we must make a demand on the presidents of these schools to make the facilities better, the dorms better, everything better for black students that are going to be an increase in fluxion into historical black colleges. They're going to have to be accountable to our students. The only reason why I'm talking like this is because there have been reports out there, and I did a video about this, and I've seen it with my own eyes, about in some of the historical black colleges where you may have poor facilities. And I know that a lot of that is because they're not getting the money that they need. But then I'm going to say, like I said on that video before, with the money that they do get, what are they doing with the money that they do get to fix? Because anytime you have students at Bethune-Cookman And everybody didn't like the football player, my man out of Baltimore. Oh man, his name loses my mind. Y'all can put it in the chat room. But ever since Bethune-Cookman was exposed like they were, everybody messed up by not recognizing that, look at the students. They're the ones that are complaining about the conditions. So that's why I say that the historical black colleges can't take for granted the fact that there's going to be an influx of black students going to those schools. And I make another prediction. If Hispanics and Asians and other groups of people don't get into the universities that they want, I guarantee you, because they're already doing it anyway, I guarantee you, you're going to have an increase of these other people of other ethnic background that will be going to historical black colleges as well. And you'll even get the white folks who couldn't get into the PWIs that they wanted. They'll be going to it because it's already happening now, but it's going to happen at a higher level. Watch. And because if not that black colleges do this anyway, but if the law of the land is that you can't take people in because they're black or they're of a certain race, then certainly these students, some of them are not going to get into these schools of their choice. And they might see some of these kids say, hell, let me go to a historical black college. They can't turn me down because we're people of color. That's what everybody been saying. You're people of color. Yalpo says, one of the problems is that when black celebrities start companies or whatever, there is no exclusivity. They're not exclusively to benefit black people. No, they're not. You're absolutely right, Yalpo. They're not here to exclusively
the truth.
Benefit us, brother. You know that. We all know that's the facts. All right, let's see with Ricky 12 says HBCUs should be universities training out of skilled trades and black used to do. Yeah. Well, yeah, most historical black colleges were vocational and agricultural universities. That's why you got like T&T in the name of some of these schools. They were agricultural colleges and technical type schools. That's right. Yeah, reparations, cut the damn check. Jonathan Kidd says HBCs better get their bars up. Yeah, their bails. Yeah, they got to, because I see an influx of black students who may say, you know what, let me try HBCU if I can't get into a Notre Dame, a Berkeley, a Stanford, a Harvard, a Yale. And I'm not talking about people who don't qualify academically. They just don't get in for some reason because they're not, because of whatever's going on. And I'm gonna tell you again, the people who make decisions about who gets in and get out, they don't look like us. That's a damn sure fact. They don't look like none of us in this chat room. Why does Notre Dame or USC never have a problem with funding? I wonder why, Brother Rob. That's a good point. Maybe because the football team generates a lot of money, Brother Rob. The USC football team generates a lot of money. Show me the money. That could be one reason, amongst many. Uncle Thomas doesn't respect black women. Yeah, he doesn't. But see, that's why, keep this in mind, though, brown girl Bella. It was, as I said earlier, it was Joe Biden who allowed him to stay as a nominee to be put on that court. When Anita Hill and people were hoping that he would not go in against her. He did. And I think black women, who are the biggest supporters of the Democratic Party, remember, Biden got into office in 2020 because black women voted at 93%, black men at 83%. Black women still largely make up the biggest portion of the black community that votes democratically consistently throughout. We got my man Black Anonymous in the house. AMM for agriculture and mechanical. Right. AMM. Thank you. Thank you, Black Anonymous. I appreciate that. Checking for those who checking for you. We're going to have to play hardball 2D max. Once we build our own, no one will ever try us. That's why they don't want to give reparations. Good point. Good point. I agree with that point. Let me see. We got my girl Beverly Palma who says, anyone I missed earlier. Hey, thank you. Bless you. We got Alan Christian who says sports in college brings the big society clubs in. I have to say you are correct. Good thoughts. All right. Real Aaron Collins says, no hard feelings check for those who check for you from earlier. I thought you were. Yeah, we've already went over that. Check for you is all good. He or she explained themselves, because that's what I was looking for anyway, was an explanation. So everything's all good. Everybody, I'm at my time right now. Everybody on Roku TV that's watching this, thank you. You got another great program coming up on Roku TV right after me. Thank you for watching this program. But my time is about to come up, and I appreciate you all over there on the Roku TV. Everybody on Facebook, I appreciate you too as well. Here's a clap for you. Let me see this here. Everybody, I'm going to get ready to get on out of here. It's been great. I hope you get where I'm coming from. My whole attitude is that even if they got rid of reparations, that shouldn't stop black people from doing what we need to do. We need to value education, prepare our kids for education, whether they get into a PWI or a historical black college. We need to prepare our kids, because the only way we can equalize this is to build up our own universities and support our own universities, but they got to support us as well. Okay. And we got to get our kids prepared so that their academics is so powerful, nothing can knock them out either way. So really, Brother Rob is a teacher in their academic achievement, working with our kids, mentoring them, tutoring them, getting them ready is what we need to do. This is why I'm talking about Urban Nerds Worldwide. Yes. In the Ziax Institute in Brownsville, Brooklyn, where you've got my man Q Butter. This is why Q Butter and Brother George Macomb with his Urban Nerds Worldwide program is what we need. Both of them are working with youth in the community, with the STEM, with science, introducing them to things that's going to really broaden their perspective. His program is about educating the youth, mentoring the youth, letting them see other opportunities, introducing science, biology, different things to them, computers to the kids at an early stage. Both these brothers are doing the same thing, and I need you all, if you're interested in donating and supporting Urban Nerds Worldwide, my man George Macomb, he's here on YouTube. He shows you what he's doing with the kids. He's got a website. In the description of this video, you'll see the website. You click into it. You can buy a hat, you can buy t-shirts, all kind of merch. It don't matter whether it be $5, $7, whatever, and you get a tax write-off because it's a non-profit. You get a tax write-off with any of the stuff that you buy because you're supporting a great cause. So that's my man, George Macomb of Urban Nerds. In the description of this video, you'll see his professional website showing you what he's doing with the kids, showing you what the mission statement is of Urban Nerds Worldwide. And I guarantee you, you will be very happy to support what he's doing. You can support him whenever you can, biannually, every week, whatever you got. and you can buy some of the beautiful merch because the money goes to the merch that you pay for goes to support the program. And better yet, George Makem has a YouTube channel called Urban Nerds Worldwide. He shows you what you're getting for your money in the education, in the importance of emphasizing academics for our youth. George Makem shows you in Philadelphia what he's doing with the kids. He also is inspiring to try to expand Urban Nerds Worldwide in other parts of the country. He shows you what he's doing with youth. No cap, no BS. He shows you on video. He has a real deal program. That is Urban Nerds Worldwide, everybody. And I got to say thank you. That's my time, everybody. Y'all take care. I'll be back with some podcasts. Look out for the uploaded podcasts. I'm going to drop a few of them this whole week. I got many things I got to talk about, and I'm going to talk about them in them podcasts. Nice, short, to the point podcasts. Check it out.
You keep it natural, stay in your bag like you wearing satchels.
Take care, everybody.
You a godsend, just missing the sandals. But still, you ain't missing much. Put your hands on my back, that's a different touch. But you've
been watching the Information Man Show Media, baby.
Close, not a centimeter. Getting in between is all you two turned up. Never turned down though when it's big.
Thank you all in the chat room. All of you. Thank you for your support. You guys have all been great today. Love you.
You've been looking for the head of them curves. I'm Jimmy Johnson with this. I'm Jimmy Johnson with this. That I test, I'm like running it. Just cycle, I swim and I run. Whatever you need, I'll try out the line with it. Turn on the lights, take a flick. Just don't be running this shit. Hey, I can see you as my chick. Nah, I can see you as my. You keep it natural, stay in your bag like you wearing satchels. Hey, baby, you a godsend, just missing the sandals. But still, you ain't missing much. Put your hands on my back, that's a different touch. But your on my plate, I don't skip the lunch. I don't skip the brunch, not the dinner neither. And we hella close, not a centimeter. Getting in between is all you two turned up. Looking like God, that's masterpiece. Make a say unlike masterpiece. You shouldn't even self after me. Don't nobody really want you bad as me. If you walk away, that'd be sad to see. But if you plan to stay, baby, have a seat. On my every day, any day, every time, all the time, in my mind. Summertime, dinner time. I just wanna see you cross the finish line. Feeling like Jimmy, I give you this Johnson. Know you like
now tuned to BS3 Network.
I never pull out. I just like
BS3 Network, changing the way you listen to podcasts.
Like you wearing satchels.
BS3 Network is now on Roku TV under BS3 TV. Download today. You are now tuned to BS3 Network.
I don't skip the brunch, not the dinner neither. And we hella close, not a centimeter. Getting in between is all you two turned up. Never turned down though. When there's big energy, when I come around though. So don't ever switch. Know you've been looking, won't find it like this. Know you've been looking for the head of them curves. I'm Jimmy Johnson with this. Give this Johnson. Know you like filming that count.
You've been listening to the Information Man Media Show. Yeah.
You keep it natural, stay in your bag like you wearing satchels.
Yeah.
Baby, you a godsend, just missing the sandals. But still, you ain't missing much. Put your hands on my back, that's a different touch. Put your on my plate, I don't skip the lunch. I don't skip the brunch, not the dinner neither. And we had the close, not a centimeter. Getting in between is all you two turned up. Never turned down though. When there's big energy, when I come around though. So don't ever switch. Know you've been looking, won't find it like this. Know you've been looking for the head of them curves. I'm Jimmy Johnson with this. I'm Jimmy Johnson with this. That I test, I'm like running it. Just cycle, I swim and I run. Whatever you need, I'll try out the line with it. Turn on the lights, take a flick. Just don't be running this shit. Hey, I can see you as my chick. Nah, I can see you as my. You keep it natural, stay in your bag like you wearing satchels. Hey, baby, you a godsend, just missing the sandals. But still, you ain't missing much. Put your hands on my back, that's a different touch. But your on my plate, I don't skip the lunch. I don't skip the brunch, not the dinner neither. And we hella close, not a centimeter. Getting in between is all you two turned up. Looking like God, that's masterpiece. Make a say unlike masterpiece. You shouldn't even self after me. Don't nobody really want you bad as me. If you walk away, that'd be sad to see. But if you clip stay, baby, have a seat. On my every day, any day, every time, all the time, in my mind. Summertime, dinner time. I just wanna see you cross the finish line, Feeling like Jimmy, I give you this Johnson. Know you like filming that content. All in your bank and I never pull out. I just like making deposits. Yeah, you keep it natural. Stay in your bag like you wearing satchels. Hey, baby, you a godsend, just missing the sandals. But still, you ain't missing much. Put your hands on my back, that's a different touch. Put your on my plate, I don't skip the lunch. I don't skip the brunch, not the dinner neither. And we hella close, not a centimeter. Getting in between is all you two turned up. Never turn down though, when there's big energy, when I come around though. So, don't ever switch. Know you've been looking, won't find it like this. Know you've been looking for niggas that head of them curves. I'm Jimmy Johnson with this.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth.